her mother working and her working as an example. That talks about the sacrifice of God and how she had to sacrifice her sorrow and just give praise unto his name. And because of her sacrifice of not dwelling on her herself, she was able to have a breakthrough. Amen. And because Sister Grace was able to sacrifice her worrying, that means casting all her doubts and fears unto God and just giving him praise for that dark spot that she saw. Because of her giving that sacrifice and praise, that dark spot turned to a light spot and turned into her testimonial. And then, because I told God to have his way in my life for my final exams, every doubt and fear that I was able to be taken away from me and given onto him, and he was able to have his way and make every dark spot light in my life. Brother Junior's message was about giving up your Goliaths, defeating your Goliaths. Sorry. And because he was saying that, it all matched up to Sister Grace's and I's message, saying that if we focus less on our Goliaths and just let God have his way, that's us sacrificing ourselves and giving ourselves unto him so that he would make a new and have a new way in our lives. So now, that was last week's speaking. Now we're on to the present. So now I'd like to invite our messenger of the day, our preacher of the day, Sister Naa-Afi, Tackie. Let's just give a round of applause.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, I thank you. I thank you for everything that you have done in our lives, and I thank you for bringing us all here safely, that we were able to come together to worship your name, Lord Father God. And Lord, as I'm about to preach your word, I'm asking, Lord, to minister through me, Lord Father God, and also use me, Lord Father God, that I will be able to speak your words, Lord. Let it not be my words, Lord, let it be your words, and let it minister to the heart of your people. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Okay, the title of my message is called Heart of Worship, amen. Amen. I know that we all know the song, I'm coming back to the heart of worship. And it's all about that song. So that's where it originated. I don't remember it. You don't remember the song? Would you like me to sing it for you? Yeah. Okay, well it goes, I'm coming back to the heart of worship when it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the things I made it when it's all about you. It's all about you, Jesus. Okay, before I start my message, I want to give thanks to the founder, Dr. Pauline Walley, who has traveled and is not here with us. I want to thank the resident pastor, Reverend Tackie, who's also not here with us. And I want to thank all the leaders and the ministers of Overcomers House. Amen. Amen. Okay. So the title of my message is called Heart of Worship. And I came up with a couple of questions, and some of them are, what does it really mean to go back to the heart of worship? But before we answer that question, we have to understand, what does the heart of worship mean? So I'm going to first speak about the heart, and then I'm going to talk about the worship. So our hearts are very important to us because our hearts pump blood through our circulatory system, and we need blood in our bodies to survive. Without our hearts pumping blood, we cannot live. And our hearts are also important to God because, can we turn to Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 10? Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 10 says, I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruits of his doing. So therefore, our hearts are precious and important to God because God searches our hearts. And by him searching our hearts, he knows how to reward us. Amen? And now, worship is the feeling or expression of reverence and adoration. And we know that when we worship God, we have to worship him in spirit and in truth. That no matter what the situation is, we must worship God. Because Job in the Bible, he went through a lot, but he still chose to worship God. He didn't let the circumstance or the situation go through his head. Like, he still worshiped God no matter what happened. Even though he was losing many of his family, he still worshiped God. He didn't care what was happening, he still worshiped God. And that's what we call true worship, because he still worshiped him no matter what happened to him. And that's what we should do. We should worship God in spirit and in truth. When we worship God, our hearts have to be clean and our hearts have to be pure. Can we turn to Matthew chapter 5, verse 8? Matthew chapter 5, verse 8 said, Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Amen? Amen. So we have to worship God, but before we worship God, we have to make sure our hearts is pure and our hearts are clean. I find out that every time, like on Sunday mornings, when I'm getting ready or I'm late, I tend to argue with my sister. And every time I argue with her, and I come here and I have to lead praise and worship, I find that my heart is not right. My heart is not ready to lead praise and worship. And I find that even when I sing, I know I'm not doing it wholeheartedly. And I find that my heart is not pure. So therefore, I have to check myself before I worship God. So therefore, before we worship God, we must make sure our hearts is pure. And when we worship him, we should have a broken heart or a broken spirit. That means to be at a place where you surrender to God, telling him to take total and full control of everything. The writer of the song Holiness, he has a verse that says brokenness. And he said brokenness is what I long for, and brokenness is what I need. So when we have a broken heart, we're surrendering everything to the Lord. When we are brokenhearted, that is when the Lord is closer than we think. We turn to Psalms 34, verse 18. Psalms 34, verse 18 said, The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. So when we are brokenhearted, the Lord is closer to us than we think. Some people express their broken heart in different ways. Some of them scream or some of them yell. Some of them cry. Like there's this young lady, she's a singer. And every time she sings a song, she begins to cry. And we laugh at her. But we never really realize that she's broken. She's brokenhearted. And because she's brokenhearted, that means she sees God because his word said that the Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart. So when she's broken heart, we know that the Lord is close to her. And we want the Lord to be close to us when we have a broken heart. Amen? Amen. So the second question I asked was, what does it mean what does heart of worship mean? And I came up with heart of worship means when you are at an important place where you are brokenhearted because you want to be close to God. So you exalt Him and you adore Him. But to get to that heart of worship, we have to sacrifice some things. As we learned last week, we have to sacrifice. And when we sacrifice, we know that God will make a way. And when He make a way, we know that all the Goliath in our lives are destroyed. Amen? Amen. And then I came up with a little equation because we know in math class, the of means multiplication. So I did heart times worship equals God's presence. So the more we put our whole heart into it, times worship is the more we'll see God's presence. So what does it mean to go back to the heart of worship? So it means to return to a place where you're brokenhearted, so you can experience God for yourself. And that means focusing on God alone and forgetting about all your troubles and all your worries. Amen? Amen. So that's the end of my message, and I'm going to pray. Heavenly Father, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, we thank you, Lord. We thank you, Lord, that we were able to gather here, Lord. I thank you for using me, Lord Father God, that I was able to preach your message, Lord Father God. Let this message minister to your people, Lord Father God. Help us to have a broken heart, Lord Father God, so we will be able to see you, Lord Father God, and experience you, oh God. I thank you and I worship your name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. 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 Amen.
Thank you, Sister Naa-Afi.
Get ready for the next round.
Yes, she is.
Part 2 of Heart of Worship.
Wow, she brought in math in there too, which is the subject that's my least favorite, but it makes sense. Heart times worship equals, what did you say again?
God's presence.
God's presence. Amen. Amen. Now, now that we have been blessed by the daughter and the servant of God, let's just bring a sacrificial offering unto God. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So,
With a heart of worship.